Happy Wilds launch week. You're either watching this because you finished the game or you're not watching this because you're out playing the game. And I wanted to share my first 4-hour impression of the game because I got to take this game nice and slow. There's a lot of good stuff here, but also some things that I'm going, Welcome back, Classy Crew, to a very first journal covering Monster Hunter Wilds. This is probably going to be my shortest journal series because there's no pledge. I'm pretty much playing Monster Hunter Wilds with the goal of having fun, bringing all of my experience as a Monster Hunter fan to its culmination as an Omni Hunter, as everything I've done, and just really enjoying the game while it's fresh, while they're releasing content. Once everything has dropped, once the expansion's out, then we're going to come up with some crazy pledge, I'm sure. But for now, it's all about having fun, and I want to share with you my first thoughts after my first stream. I did this stream right before the game launched because I had a review copy. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that because there was like nobody there on stream watching because nobody wanted to get spoiled, which is fair. So I wasn't progressing too fast in the stream because I really didn't want to get ahead of everyone. The content dynamic here is usually I cover the game long after all of you covered it, and it's me sharing my thoughts and impressions. Very rarely is it the other way around where you're coming here to get new information. It's usually I'm the last in the line of content creators. You start off with the creators covering all the news, you play the game yourself, and then when you're bored and you're like, oh, I really want to re-experience that game, you come here to Hey Jay and you get your good old content. So anyways, what I do like, actually it's easier to go with what I don't like. So let's start with that. The game is very narratively heavy, and it's funny because this is something I've asked for time and time again in my Monster Hunters was, I wish there was more of a story. And now Monster Hunter, or Capcom has delivered, and they're like, here's a story. And now as I was playing it, I'm just like, can we just get back to hunting, please? And it was so ironic because Monster Hunter Rise was exactly that. Here's your hunt, here's your hunt, here's your hunt. A little bit of sprinkling of story, but otherwise get back in there and hunt. And here, at least in the first 4 hours of Monster Hunter Wilds, it's let's hold your hand, let's set up the world, let's meet these characters, let's establish the world. And I'm like, can I please just go and hunt with this cool weapon? Everything feels so good. The move set, the best part of the game is the hunt. And the first 4 hours of the game tells you you can't have your dessert yet. You can't have the best part of the game. You're going to sit on your secret and you're going to listen to your NPCs talk to you and talk about the world, and you're going to get surrounded by the game. And I get that's what a lot of people do. I think it's the right step to make this even more mainstream appeal, but I just want to hunt monsters. I'm like, oh. So that's a bit of a frustration on my end. I think they leaned almost too heavy into the narrative in the beginning, but that's how stories are. That's how they build. And if it's a good story, it'll pay off in the end. So I'm going to let it slide, but it is fair criticism. The next thing is some choices they made with the voice acting, specifically giving your hunter a voice. Yes, I prefer the direction they went here in giving a hunter a voice to talk for cutscenes and to engage with characters, more so than what they did with Rise, where your hunter just won't shut up in the hunts. Your hunter in Wilds does not talk as much during the hunts, which I like. But what I don't like is they only pretty much gave you three, well, I'm playing as a male character, so there's 3 male voices to choose from. One, there's a heavy accent that I just didn't feel like I could associate with. The second one is like a really deep voice, which doesn't fit my character's look. And the third one, which is the one I went with, is a bit of a young, inexperienced hunter voice. And in hindsight, I really regret choosing it. I tried picking it and adjusting the pitch to make it more deeper so it had more like experience in it. In the end, the pitching mechanism is really bad, and it sounds like your hunter's talking in a metal tin can. So in the end, I ended up turning that off. So now I'm stuck with the hunter voice that sounds inexperienced, and it just bothers me so much. You know, that opens up the ability to like talk with your NPCs. So like the kid, Nada, there's a lot of scenes where it's optional. You can go and talk to him at the camp, and your hunter's like trying to bond with a kid. And to me, it just comes across as a little cringy of like, why are we doing this? Why are we trying? Like, okay, no, it's not why are we doing this. It's to show the hunter cares and is a nurturing figure. So I kind of understand what they're doing, but it also feels weird of like, so how about that cheese? And it feels like you're really trying, and I don't like it. The next thing is the Palico talking. I love the fact that you can choose to make your Palico talk or not. or it can just do meow meow sounds. But I'm like, well, it's a new feature, I should play with it. So I made my cat talk. It's Classy, of course. Classy is this fictional character I've developed over the last like 4 years here. And I've built this personality in my head of what Classy is. He's like a snarky ace hunter who just has to tag along with me for whatever reason. But now that they've given Classy a voice, he's a comic relief and he's just not as serious. And this just goes to show you that when you add voice acting to a game, it takes away so much from the imaginative aspect of a game. Like everybody, I'm sure, as they were playing older games, you come up with your stuff. Like another thing is Zelda. You know, Zelda, they're also leaning into putting voices to the characters. And I'm just like, it's a creative choice. It's fine, but you do lose something when you associate a voice to a character. You take away from the player's imagination to create what they want from the space. I'm almost certain in the Zelda universe, they're going to give Link a voice in the next game. And I think that's going to be such a major takeaway because you're now going to lock this character, which is an avatar for the player, into a predetermined character. And that's exactly what's happening now with my Palico. He has kind of an imposed personality put on him, all because they wanted to spend more budget on voice acting. I think those are all the things I really had to complain about. Everything else is really good. Like the music. So, okay, the music is absolutely like, it feels tragic. Like the theme of the game sounds the main theme of the game sounds tragic. And it's a very different feeling than, say, World Iceborne, where World Iceborne feels triumphant. It feels epic. It feels like you're discovering a world, which you are. And here, you don't get that out of the soundtrack, which is unfortunate. But I assume once I understand what the story is, it's going to make sense. And the fact that there's a violin in the theme song and that it does sound tragic tells me there's a sad tale that's going to be unraveled here. So we're going to find out what that is. Another thing is, if you look at my really early on content of Wilds as I was covering the first trailers, the first time we saw Alma and Gemma, I didn't have the best first reaction to both of those characters. I just did not get good feelings out of them. And I have to say, I absolutely love what they did with them. Their personalities fit perfectly. They've really grown on to me, specifically Alma. I really like that she has that typical handler nerdness to her. And it didn't really come through in the preview materials for me until I really saw her in the game when I think, what are they called? Woodwoods like stole one of her relics and like she just got all pretty much angry and like fearful about her relics and really saw her personality come out. And then she's like nerding out about history. And she's like, I really love relics and stuff. I'm like, okay, I like what they've done here. And I really like you as a character. You're very charming. And I want to, like, I'm really happy to have you along as my handler. Gemma. This is kind of a spoiler, but you probably know if you play the game for 2 hours. So it's now, well, I guess if you don't want the spoiler, just skip ahead a minute. But it's now been confirmed that she is our Little Miss Forge from Monster Hunter 4U, which we all pretty much speculated on. So to get that confirmed in the game is really cool that they're now tying more lore to 4U, doing more world building. I thought that was a nice little nod. And I love her character. I love that she's humming Proof of a Hero as she's like smithing away. It's like, da, 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 da. Now let's get to the hunts. I don't have too much to say because ultimately these are low rank hunts, but I did the first 4 monsters of the game. Chotacabra, I took on with a great sword. I just love the great sword. And I'm going to be rotating my weapons. I'm not going to really stick to a main, I don't think. Chotacabra, you know, I beat him in the beta a lot of times. He's your typical early game punching bag. I can't really speak much of him other than he's cute, he's adorable, and I love smacking him around, but he's not really any kind of a threat when it comes as a hunt. So he's just really a huge punching bag. The next one, I was really surprised to see the second monster was the Quemetris. Wasn't expecting to see a new monster that soon. And I took this chicken on with the long sword. And the longsword feels so much more fluid. Like I am dancing around the monster in a really fluid way. I love it in this game. I haven't really gone into like doing counters or sheathing my sword to do cool attacks yet. I'm just not sure how to do that. So I got to learn how to do that. But for now, I'm just building up my spirit gauge. I can get it up to red finally. Like it's so much easier in this game. I feel like my Omni Hunter training is paying off. I'm not playing these weapons at S tier level, but I'm like a solid B, I would say. There was also the Quemetris weapons and armor. Absolutely love. It has an amazing hat. I've got a great hat. And by the way, tell me how my character looks like. I really tried to design him based on how I look, including the facial hair and all. Sometimes I'm like, nah, this guy looks a little too French, but people on stream said he looks just like me, so maybe I'm having body dysmorphia or something. Also surprised that we were going, after only 2 hunts, 2 monsters, that we're going straight into a new locale, so we're going into the forest. This area, I thought I would hate it from the preview because I don't usually like swampy forests, but this map has been good to me so far. It's been really interesting, and the Lalaburina took that on with my Switch Axe because I was just craving for some New World Switch Axe gameplay. And this was such an amazing fight in the sense of the monster being absolutely beautiful. When it's like butt blooms into a petal, it's just so beautiful. Like, I was actually distracted by it. And the animation that they did with the bug, like the way she clicks and moves and twitches, and it's like instant stabs with all of her mechanics, like really moving insect-like they nailed it. And it was such a nice fight. It wasn't too hard, but again, it's low rank. I'm not going to criticize difficulty. They're just introducing the monster, getting you used to the moves. I did notice the game is encouraging you a lot more to go from axe to sword mode, which I like. I have always believed that's what the Switch Axe should be, a good balance between the 2 forms. I've also noticed the invasion sensation is a lot harder to pull off in this game. Like, you have to charge your sword, you have to get into amp state, which I don't know if that's what you had to do in World or if it was just harder to do in Wilds than World, but I remember doing it effortlessly in World Iceborne. Here, I actually had to pay attention and be aware of when I was in amp state that I could actually, do my invasion sensation. So this is also, Lalaburina's gear is just S tier in every way. The armor, beautiful hat, beautiful like flowing robes. I don't like the dress of Lalaburina, but the weapons, I love the weapons. I made the Switch Axe, and I absolutely I miss this. I've been in Old World for a while. I miss being able to see the full armor set at a click of a button and to look at all the weapons in a nice way. Like in the Old World, you couldn't do that through the menus. It was just such a pain. You had to use this. I love, and I just want to build everything, and I'm probably going to lean a lot more into fashion hunting this time. And then finally, the last monster I took on was the Congalala, which is probably the one monster that did not need to be brought into HD graphics, because man, that is one disgusting monkey. And of course, they open it up with its ass just farting on you. And the HD textures of a fart gas here was so rich. You could, and not rich, like it just made the fumes look thick and pooey-esque. It was like Congalala's a disgusting beast. He's just so much more disgusting in this game because like the realism really makes you feel like you could smell this thing, and it was disgusting. Otherwise, it's Congalala. It's a stupid monkey, so I don't really have much to say there. I did him with a Switch Axe as well, and that's where I ended the game because I don't want to get too far in. But at the same time, I think Wilds is just not that meaty of a game. It's not going to be one of those series where I'm going to take, half a year to cover. I expect that this is going to be maybe 4 or 5 journals to cover the base game, and then I'm probably going to shelf the game for a while until all the title updates come out, go back, figure out a pledge, do everything. I think I want 100% the game. I'm not pledging that, but looking at the achievements, it looks completely doable. And the last thing to comment on is the Woodwoods, which are adorable little creatures that I love so far. I just got introduced to them, but I like what the first impression they gave to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. So now I'm pretty much on the hunt for a Dodoguma or something. I forget the name, but it's the big guy. And I also hunted him in the beta, so I wonder how this is going to go. But I like how we're building up to try to find him, and then eventually he's clearly going to be a pretty big piece. He's like the Anjanath is what I'm seeing of the story. So I want to see what that's about. And then the Apexes. I'm sure I'll be covering those in the next journal. So hopefully I'll see you in those or on the stream. It'll be whenever this journal drops I will be back to streaming Wilds over on twitch.tv/HeyJayOfficial. Hopefully I see you there. And until next time, keep it classy.